7:01, school board to order. It's August 17th, 2022 at 3:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. With that, I'd like to welcome everybody here and remove item 2, stand for the pledge of allegiance if you wish. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item number 3, motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion?
Are we going to add an addendum?
Yes, at this time, thank you. At this time, we have 2 addendums to add. They'll be under personnel following F, so it'll be G and H. And at that time, Superintendent Rick will read what they are to the audience. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. Item 4, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. With that, we'll move to item 5, public comment. Turn it over to Superintendent.
Yep, and we have Miss Jill Burks. I don't have, do you have a topic that you were gonna talk about?
Yes, I would say mental health concerns
Okay.
and punishment. I don't know,
Thank you.
does that sound good?
Yes.
Would you like to move us down?
You
Good?
can if you'd like, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
Wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay, hi.
Aye.
I'm going to start with just who I am and a brief history of me to just kind of set that stage, and then I'll share a couple of my concerns and I'll be on my way. My name is Jill Burks. I graduated from Hibbing High School here in 2000, and I attended the College of St. Scholastica and graduated there in 2006 with my master's in occupational therapy. My work history includes over 10 years employment at Fairview Range as an occupational therapist with a specialty and focus in mental health. I've also worked as a mental health practitioner for Range Mental Health Center. I've been self-employed since 2020 as a full-time performing musician, and I also offer holistic wellness to the community in a healing space downtown. I'm a mother to 3 awesome kids. My oldest daughter graduated from Hibbing, and she's currently at the College of St. Scholastica working on her degree. My 2 other kids are both currently attending HS right now. All 3 of my kids have been involved with organized sports since a young age, and they all have continued sports throughout their high school career, and most of them play year-round. So I'm here today to discuss my concerns first with the extreme policies for second offense drinking, and also the complete lack of emotional support and mental health resources for our students, specifically the athletes that are benched for 12 months on violating this policy. I'm speaking specifically of my personal experience with my middle child, Emma. A letter was sent home to us last April stating that Emma had been alleged to be drinking, and this was now her second offense. It turns out that that is not accurate information, but I'm not here to discuss that. Our policy states that a second offense means no extracurricular activities for 12 months. She was unable to participate in track last season. She couldn't attend junior prom, and she was told she could not play soccer this fall, and she'll mostly miss track this year. So junior and senior year is pretty much out for sports. I want it to be known that since being told she would not be able to play sports for 12 months, she was told this last April, not once has anybody from the high school approached my daughter or myself to check in on her mental health. Her coaches have tried to be supportive, but they continue to say their hands are tied and refer back to policy. Coming from someone who has worked as a mental health practitioner for over a decade, I can say with confidence that when extracurricular activities are taken away for 1 year from any high school student, that is traumatic. Regardless of policy and violation, and even if it's warranted, that experience is traumatic to a child. I understand that we do hold our athletes to a higher standard, and I also agree in consequences for action. I agree in all of that. But where's the follow-through? Nowhere in our policy is there discussion of follow-up. Did you know that research is now showing that students that participate in sports have even more pressure to drink than non-students, than non-athletes. So yeah, research is now showing that athletes are having more pressure to drink than non-athletes in high school. So if we're giving this extreme punishment, not once was there a discussion with us or our kid about chemical dependency. No one asked Emma if she had a drinking problem. There was no referrals made to assist with any of these possible concerns if we really are concerned about alcohol. No discuss of chemical dependency or where to reach out for that if that's our concern. There absolutely needs to be follow-up with these kids that have violated twice and are out 12 months. So I'm speaking specifically of the handful of kids that are now unable to play sports for 12 months. Can it be a part of policy to be checking in on these kids throughout the year of their suspension? Not waiting for them to reach out for us, but us as a community following up on them, seeing if they're okay. These athletes that are in violation of conduct, they need education on healthy coping skills immediately after the violation happens, especially if they've shown use of unhealthy coping skills such as alcohol. There should be discussion with the child and their family about chemical dependency, what that looks like, do you need help, and here's the resources if you do, if you need further assessments. So many of our student athletes, like Emma, have played in sports since grade school. So now just imagine, sports and extracurricular activities have provided these kids with daily exercise, daily routines, a sense of community and identity for years. And we're taking that all away now as a punishment without putting in any other positive, healthy coping skills. So those things, by being in a sport, is one way of having healthy coping skills for a kid. We're taking that away and not giving them anything else in that place. We're not even asking them if they're okay or calling to follow up how they're feeling mentally. These athletes should also be monitored for depression throughout the 12 months they're suspended. In my years of practice as an occupational therapist, I've witnessed that when people are no longer able to do the things they enjoy, regardless of whether it's warranted or not, they're more likely to experience depression, isolation, even suicidal ideation, even suicide. So if you aren't able to participate in the things that make you feel like you, it can be damaging to your self-worth. In this experience that I've gone through with Emma and the school, it feels to me that the school district would rather push fear and punishment than actively do things to support our students and athletes that might be in real need of help. My child struggled through this process, and I worry for other students whose parents aren't as well versed in mental health like I am. Almost done. The school did not, but I did discuss these concerns with Emma. I monitored her mental health daily, and she's a strong young woman, and I'm proud to be her mom. So all that being said, I did have a meeting today with the AD and principal. I did discuss these concerns with them, and they listened to what I said, and I felt heard. They also agreed that the 12-month punishment is extreme for kids, and it's pushing them out of sports. Most of the kids don't come back once they have that punishment. Is that what we want for kids? I'm asking that we add mental health to follow through with this crazy policy. Should it be a continued practice if we're pulling athletes out for 12 months? Better yet, is there a better way than punishing and shaming them for making a mistake? Can we offer opportunities to learn and grow or redeem themselves? In closing, I'd like to say that our kids, our students, our athletes, my Emma, every one of them, they're more than the handful of poor choices that they might make in high school. Every single student should feel valued and supported, not just the all-stars, not just the honor roll students, and certainly not just the athletes that chose to run and hide better than my daughter did when the cops came to that party. There's many ways a poor decision can be turned into a learning experience, and shame just adds to the trauma. So thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to make any comment to that?
I talked with Jill yesterday briefly on the phone, and I know that she had met with Mr. Turner and Ms. Sikora today, and I think some of the things that Jill shared with me yesterday I agree with. And I did share with her that I'm directing our athletic director to review our policy and to come to this board with some recommendations for changes. So that is in the works.
And
Thanks
at the
for-
Northeast Service Co-op, which I'm part of, we hired this Aubrey Hoover as you know,
I don't know her,
Helper.
but I've heard that there's some more supports like being pulled into place, and I think that's wonderful.
yeah, she'll be a new regional manager of behavioral and mental health services, so we're gonna have some more people to help out and stuff like that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for your
Thank
presentation.
you. Yes,
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
With that, we'll move on to item 6, personnel. Superintendent Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Item A is a motion to approve the hiring of Brianna Allison as a co-coach for junior high 7th grade volleyball effective August 15th, 2022.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director Martin, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B is a motion to approve the hiring of Lacey Urbaum as a co-coach for junior high 7th grade volleyball effective August 15th, 2022.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director Nyberg, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, excuse me. Motion carried.
Item C is a motion to approve the hiring of Logan Harvey as head JV boys soccer coach effective August 15th, 2022.
So, support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion?
You know, I might ask, these things start August 15th. Is that when the seasons start?
I believe, was that Monday? Was the 15th of Monday? Yes, I believe that's when the fall sports start, yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D is a motion to accept the resignation from Sarah Erickson, math teacher, high school, effective August 28th, 2022.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any further any discussion?
Is this putting us in a bind for a teacher?
Well, so we do have an overload process in place, and that's how we're going to fill this position of Sarah leaving. Sarah had indicated to us very early on in the summer that she was looking to resign, and then some circumstances had changed where she was coming back, and now she has to leave. Not that I'm looking to hold her, because it does put the district in a bind. Not that I'm looking to fight her and hold her, but I did do some research with MSBA and with the Professional Licensing Board on what are, does a school have a remedy? What can a school do? And there's not a lot that we could do. We could write a letter to Pelsby, which is the licensing board, and basically put a black spot on her license. And I'm not recommending or saying that we do that, but there's lots of staff that are coming and going nationwide, statewide, area-wide, and we've been pretty fortunate on these last-minute types of resignations, but we do have a plan for it, and we will fill the classes from within. But yes, does it put us in a bind? Absolutely, yeah.
So are we going to look to post, are we going to post it to look to fill, and is this overload just?
So currently, no. So, we had talked about some of the potential savings in retirements and resignations that we've had here in this last year. And this was one that I kind of had earmarked because I thought it was coming back in May. So this, it is a potential savings for us because the overloads, we're not paying additional health benefits for the overload. So it does save the district a little bit of money, not a lot, but Ms. Sikora and the counselors here at the high school, through scheduling, were able to cover Ms. Erickson's classes without seeing a real sizable increase in class size. And If we get an influx of students and they happen to be taking math classes, I might have to come back to the board after the school year gets started to reevaluate, but as of today, we've got it covered.
Well, and what
You know-
about, oh, go ahead.
I was to say, I am opposed to this whole deal, just because I think teachers need their prep hour. And now the math teachers, several, if not what, all, a lot of them, that are covering the overload, or that are gonna have an overload,
Right.
will not have a prep.
No, so we reworked that language.
Well,
They
you
get-
reward them, but it's still not good for learning and not good, you know, to not have a prep.
But they get to keep their prep,
Oh, they
They-
get to keep, well, they
they-
get to, they don't have to do their
Duty.
extra duty?
they give up their duty,
Okay.
they keep their prep. That was a change.
Okay, oh,
Yep.
that's right, that was a change. Okay, so that makes me feel better. But they're still, and they still get a big increase in money,
They do,
the ones that take overload.
they do, yes.
I mean, is that a good thing to take overload? I mean, for them, I guess, money-wise, I guess, but is it healthy to do it this way?
Well, I
I
think
mean-
it depends. Now, like, as an example, if I had 5 sections of Science 7, and I took an overload for an additional Science 7, and I'm already prepping
So now
for
you've got
that,
6 sections,
so I've
right?
got 6, right? It's probably not as
Big of a deal,
big
yeah.
of a deal, but if it's a new prep, if it's a class
That
I'm not
you've never
currently
taught,
teaching and
yeah.
I'm not prepping for,
Yeah,
Yeah.
then that's difficult,
it is,
yeah,
definitely.
so.
What you
I don't know, I just
Make
feel-
do with what the best you can.
But you gotta do the best,
Yeah.
and you know, if we're trying to save money, I guess, then this is what we do. Yeah.
Well, it's not a permanent solution, it's not, it works in this scenario with the
Yeah.
last minute resignation, but it's not a procedure.
Not perfect,
We're not
yeah.
looking to put everybody on overloads by any means.
But,
And
But
what
it's
about,
not as though
exception
there's
to the-
abundance of teachers out there.
Yep.
no, well, right.
and as long as, I mean, if I'm hearing it right, we're taking them from a different assignment and having those teachers teach. What I would be concerned about is the availability, the accessibility by students. So if they need some extra help with some math, if they have a question, that there's still an opportunity for students to access those teachers and ask those questions.
So that, an example of a teacher in this situation that's taking the overload their duty may have been to monitor the lunchroom, right? So now that duty's been taken away from them. They retain their prep, but now Ms. Sikora has to find a way to cover that lunchroom duty. So it puts a strain all around it.
So actually, that's additional money for the district then, right? Or no?
Somebody would be doing that duty,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Whether
yeah.
that teacher
Yeah.
or new assignment, so yeah.
What kind of extra non-teaching duties? So each faculty has 1 hour of a non-teaching assignment?
Yes.
Like what kinds of things are they doing in those hours?
Could be study hall, it could be, like you talked about, I know Ms. Sikora will look at a teacher's schedule and let's say that it's a math teacher that has an opening that hour and we know that there's some kids that struggle in math. She'll try to schedule those kids in with that math teacher to get some extra help at that time. So it could be some remediation, it could be duties within the building, it could be hallway supervision, it could be lunchroom, it could be monitoring an entrance. There's lots of different duties.
So I'm just going to throw this out there without having put a lot of thought into it. But if the availability of teaching staff, teachers are difficult, right? Like, and we went to 7 periods, so we have more time and more opportunity for electives or additional classes. What impact does that, like, I would rather see our qualified staff teaching something that's enriching than a teacher, a math teacher, being in the lunchroom. You know what I mean? I guess I'm just,
Kind of a waste of talent, you're saying.
yeah, I'm saying, could we offer, if we already have that teacher assigned,
to lunch duty. I'm not saying that that's not important, that's very important, but are there other opportunities we could be offering our students? Because we have that talented person that could maybe teach, I don't know what kind of math class there would be that we don't offer, but
Sure.
I don't know, I'm just asking, because we're paying them to teach.
Right.
Okay, that's a good point, actually, that we're using a math teacher to monitor a lunchroom of crazy,
Yeah.
wild kids throwing food around. You know, I'm just saying though, this is a qualified, educated
I agree.
professional.
Yeah.
Where could we get maybe someone else or pay them less or, I
Well,
don't know.
so that there's, so a couple of things. So one is, who knows those kids best, right?
Well, that's for
It's
sure.
It's nice to have people that have relationships with the kids when they're interacting with them. The other piece to it is we have to somehow cover those duties.
Yeah,
So who's going to do it?
Yeah.
We're thankful that we have Babe and others that come in and work as aides in the district, but it's hard to find those people.
yeah.
And to hire somebody just to come in to do lunch duty, that's nearly impossible.
And then if you added, say, onto an aide, like Babe, I don't know what he does, but say you added lunch duty to his, then he would have so many hours that he'd be in benefits, right?
Exactly.
Right, so then we get into that.
So
Yeah.
we have had conversations about contractually with our AFSCME group, like paraprofessionals and others, could they cover some of these
Right.
duties? And then that same scenario kicks in.
Yeah.
Right now they get additional time, or they're getting additional pay, and then do they qualify for health benefits?
You know, once you reach a certain number of hours per week, then you gotta pay him benefits, so.
Right.
I don't know what that number is.
I don't really mean to open Pandora's box, but you know,
Right.
it's kind of like we went to 7 hours. Do we have other opportunities to provide other electives?
Well, in the 7-hour switch, and I think Mrs. Sikora has shared that with you recently. We've added, I don't even know the number off the top of my head, but we've added many classes, I'd say in 25 to 30 range. Many of those SITS classes that we've never been able to offer before. So kids are staying here, getting college credit in our district. So we have increased our offerings, but
Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good.
it's a delicate balance, like.
Do you like the 7-period day, by the way? Because someone just stopped me at Walmart and said, that's the worst thing you ever did. And I
So-
said, why? I love the idea.
The only, I like I don't teach and,
Yeah.
and I'm not, it doesn't, the time of the day that we start or end really doesn't affect me personally, but I'd say our staff here is kind of split.
Are they? Okay.
I'd say they're, it's probably a 60-40, 60 that like it, 40 that don't.
Okay.
And, and we're cognizant of that, and we're definitely not trying to force something on people that they don't want, but a math teacher that teaches trig loved the full hour,
Yeah.
right? The Phy-Ed teacher that, might not like the full hour, depending on the discipline, it's so.
This was a science person.
Oh,
okay.
sure.
They said that science should be the full, you need the full hour, you're destroying your science curriculum. It was someone I worked with at the college.
So all the science teachers I know, they think we should take science all day and not even have any other
Right.
classes. So, right? Just-
Yeah, I got a science degree.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it does take a little longer, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's stuff out there too, that to sit an hour is much harder for most kids than to sit 40 minutes.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of factors that
there's
go
a lot of
into
plus
all
and
this.
minuses, yeah.
That would be interesting to take a survey of
I think
faculty
so.
and then of students and just see.
Right. So our high school administration did take a survey last year of staff, and that's where the 60-40
Okay,
came in. So, because it was a brewing topic last year. So.
Oh,
And every year you get new students, so you're
Yeah.
switched up.
yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Good discussion.
Item E is a motion to approve the hiring of Emily Freeman to job number 70, speech language pathologist assistant, 30 hours per week, Lincoln and Early Learning Center, effective August 29th, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director Martin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F is a motion to approve the hiring of Sue Ann Reckmeyer as a 1.0 FTE academic interventionist, Lincoln Elementary, effective August 29th, 2022.
Hold.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Martin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item G is a motion to approve the hiring of Nina Kangas as a junior varsity girls volleyball coach, effective August 15th, 2022.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
You know, on these two personnel that came on, I'm not objecting to the personnel, but the hiring process that we've used in recent weeks and with some of the positions we've hired have been full, expansive. And both of these have been kind of small. And it sure feels good when there's a good representation of people on these hiring committees. And I don't know, maybe we need to relook at our hiring policies again.
You mean these committees for these last two
Yep,
are smaller?
yep.
That's
I thought
going
I
to
read
be
that.
looked at.
How small are they? I thought I read,
There are about 3 people.
oh, that's it, okay. I thought I read more than that.
The superintendent's working on that now.
And you know, some of the, it is difficult in the summer to pull people in from their vacation or their break. I shouldn't call it vacation, their break, and ask them to do this for no pay. So you know, one of the things that I've thought about is you know, we should be providing some incentive for these folks that are giving up their time and coming in the summer. The school year is a little bit different. I mean, it's a little bit more of a captive audience during the school year, but it's hard to get staff to commit, teaching staff to come in and be a part of our interview committees in the summer.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just teaching staff, but the administrative
Oh,
staff should be better
absolutely.
represented there too.
It's the whole
Yep.
thing. Yeah.
They should be part of their job.
Yep. Yep.
I would support reviewing that hiring procedure.
Yeah, that'll
I
be
didn't,
part of this, these two are, it's being worked on as we speak.
When did this come up, this Title I teacher? Have we known about that?
This is a result of,
An advertisement?
yep, this was a posting. This is a result of,
Well, we still have this first motion.
right, right. I was
Oh,
gonna,
right, right, right. I was
we have
just-
to vote on,
So,
yep.
Yeah, we gotta vote on the other one.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Now we can go to item H.
Oh. Item H is a motion to approve the hiring of Joshua Bestel as a 1.0 FTE Title I teacher, Lincoln Elementary, effective August 29th, 2022.
Or
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Egan. Any discussion?
So maybe you
I didn't know about this job.
Yep, to your question, so this is the series of events that put these positions in order. So we accepted the 3-year leave of Ms. Husko, who
Okay,
was an
yeah.
interventionist.
Yeah,
The hire on item F of Sue Ann Reckmeyer replaces Ms. Husko. Sue Ann was a title teacher, so it
Oh, I
created
see.
created
Okay.
a title vacancy, which we posted for.
okay.
And then this kind of closes the loop on that 3-year leave
But it
that,
was fully advertised as always,
yes, yes.
and it's a little awkward, but fine, I guess.
Okay, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm
Okay,
good.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
I believe that's it in personnel, Mr. Chair.
So with that, we'll move to item 7, administrative reports. Anything from the directors?
I've been over at the football field like way too many times. And there, like twice a day because I'm just fascinated by the work these guys are doing over there. if anybody has a chance to go check it out, you can walk right in, the gate's open, you can go sit up in the stands if you want. It looks amazing. I know there was a few people that kind of didn't like the concept of a green football, or a blue football field, but any play. I've run into probably 20 people over the last 2 weeks, and they're just in awe of it.
I think they'll change their mind once they see it's all done.
Once they see what's at right now, it changes their mind. It is, those guys are breaking the back for everything, and you're on time. The looks, what we're talking, like 1 week we might miss, I think.
Yeah, it's just so weather dependent and timing, and the nice thing is, I mean, unless it's a torrential downpour, the field turf crew can work in a little bit of rain, and right, but all that groundwork that happened, that just slowed them up every time we had something that got wet, and we had a lot of rain this summer, so.
But all,
We'll get it going for next year.
the turf is down, the numbers are being, they've inlaid the numbers, and all the lines are in, all the hash marks are in. They're really making some serious progress, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Very exciting.
Good news, yeah.
And if you get a chance to walk through there, I mean, the turf's great, and the field's great, and the new track and everything is going to be great, but what I'm really excited about is all the structural work that they did to the grandstands, the asphalt work between our jumping pits, the fencing that they put in place, like just the, you know, that whole facility was in rough shape, and there was a clay base under everything, and it was caving, and sewers were caving in, and retaining walls were tipping over, and they just did such a great job of, you know, making it something that would really outlast me and probably all of you. I mean, it's really a well-made facility, so.
You know, they talked to
Maybe
Tyler-
not you, it'll outlast me, maybe not you.
I talked to Tyler, all the railings will be up next week.
Yep.
It's really coming together.
The parts you don't see are the parts that are holding that up, and that's the infrastructure, that the new sewer line, we don't have to worry about the track collapsing and
Yeah.
things like that, so it's, I think it's gonna be great.
And Mr. Jim Daddy has done I saw him up there today, I was up there today, and I saw him, and I just really thanked him because he's been giving little updates and sending them to the paper of the project. And he kind of hinted to me that he goes, it's tough to get Hibbing photos in the massage paper. So I'm like, well, I really give you credit for doing
Wait,
that.
he even said that?
He did. He goes,
Okay.
yeah, because it's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
One is there this afternoon, I ran into that guy I've known since I was a little kid. He's 91 years old, and he lives in the Glacier neighborhood. And that's his afternoon walk. 7 days a week, he walks over to the football field and check it out. He's that excited about how it looks.
So what do we do with that field in the winter? Does it just stay uncovered like that, or?
Yeah, so it does stay uncovered, and there's some maintenance that has to be done. There's very little equipment that we have to buy, but we do have to buy some kind of leveling equipment because the rubber pieces underneath there can, if somebody really gets tackled hard, it could move them a little bit, so there's some leveling that has to be done. But from what I understand is you basically can broom that off in March, and you can be practicing there, weather permitting, in the second week in March, where baseball, all these other sports are stuck inside sometimes until the first week in May. So it's a little bit, because you don't want to drive on it and take a plow truck. So Tyler said that there's a special broom that they make that can broom it off. But if we were to get 17 feet of snow, you might not be able to broom it off. But there's a process to it. And
You got a snowblower.
Yeah.
well, and they don't want a snow blower because they don't want anything that churns it. So it's just like a light broom that you would set, and they actually put it like on a roller and keep it about a half an inch off the surface, and then they just broom the snow off. And so they have to get some training and have to learn how to maintain the field. So that's the next step.
Put a big wheel on a snowblower, so it keeps it off.
Just so we're not spitting chunks of blue out onto the track.
I was gonna say, even for the track, like in the olden days, not so olden days, but they would drive around the track for different events, can they still, is that like something we're gonna say, nah, not?
No, so we're purchasing gator, a John Deere gator with special tires. So if you need to haul something across in a special trailer, you can't just drive a normal vehicle on there. There's some specifics to it, so.
So even if an athlete gets hurt or whatever, and an emergency vehicle.
You can have like a
you
golf
gotta
cart.
have a gator.
We'd be like the Vikings,
We'd
right?
be like the
Where
Vikings,
the
yeah.
golf cart comes out and they
Yeah.
have the stretcher on the back, yeah.
Yeah, so have we put a advertisement out there for whatever community person or business wants to buy our gator, they can have their name advertised on there?
Sponsored by, sure.
Sponsored
Yeah.
by.
Like Zamboni.
There you go.
There you go.
And are we gonna have a golf cart?
Tyler calls it a gator. I think it's
Okay.
a John Deere golf
It's
cart.
similar.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And with tires, I think.
Kind of like a side-by-side, like those
Yeah.
side-by-sides.
Yeah.
Okay, any committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move to item 8, administrative business, turn it over to Sir Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Item A is a motion to approve the resolution to accept the donations.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director Martin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you.
Item B is a motion to approve the agreement between the City of Hibbing and the Hibbing Public Schools for school resource officer services for the period of September 1, 2022 through August 31st, 2024.
So, support.
So moved by Director Nyberg, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion?
This for both?
Yes.
Or two of them, right?
And this is all provided by the city. I mean, we need to give the city a whole lot of recognition for what they're giving us, I think.
Well, no, not,
Okay.
no,
No,
not
let's,
exactly.
let's not act too quick.
No, I mean, I met with our new city administrator. I've never, won't get his name right, Mr. Krasinski, I think is how you, Greg. And I met with Mr. Esty. And our current contribution for an SRO is about roughly $25,000 per SRO. And our contribution will be increasing to $30,000 per SRO. And we'll be using some of our SR money because there's a whole school safety component to SR. So again, you know, like all of our positions that we're adding, this is going to have to be evaluated in a couple of years to see how it's sustainable. So for now, we've got the money to pay for this 2-year contract, but it's,
So we pay the city, but it's all managed through the police department.
yeah, they're their employee, yeah, but our contribution is, in it, you know, a typical police officer probably costs the city between $75,000 and $80,000. So our contribution is just a portion of that. And then we get them for 9 months out of the year.
Is there a job description for an SRO? Do we have something on file here saying these are the job duties we expect from each SRO? Because we should.
I don't have my finger on it, but I know that we do, and that's
Oh, we
something.
do, okay.
That was something in the past that Mr. Finko met with Mr. Esty and the SRO, and they worked out what was required. So it'd be
Okay,
the
we
same.
should have it in writing, I would think.
Sure, sure.
You know, because shouldn't they be going around and checking such and such doors and doing certain things every single day? I mean, we're paying a lot for these two
Sure.
people.
Sure,
And we have to evaluate if it's gonna be worth it or not. And
absolutely.
if they're just hanging around the hall,
Right,
to me, that's not worth it.
right.
But
Well, they build relationships with a lot of students too.
And that's great, but I would like to see them checking doors, checking for prop doors, checking for locked doors, going to the elementaries on a regular daily basis. That's what I'd like to see
Yep.
with this extra one.
But that's not in the contract.
Well, what is it then?
Well, the contract is that, I mean, and I'm not disagreeing that there's certain things we want them to do, but I think it needs to be worked through the police department only because it says the school resource officer shall be exclusively under the direction and control of the Hibbing Police Department. The city shall, through the police department, provide all necessary training and supervision of the officers. The school resource officers agree not to represent himself or herself as a school agent or spokesperson. The school resource officers are qualified to perform duties as set out in the position description, but the officers are required to follow policies, practices of the Hibbing Police Department. It's-
Well, yeah, I mean, whatever, if everyone's okay with that, but to me, we're paying a lot of money and we really should have some certain duties.
So no, I agree, and that's something that I can get. So what we talked about, and this has been more back and forth through emails since the city approved it. So the new officer would be housed, have an office at the Lincoln, but would have a day at the Greenhaven, have a day at the Washington,
Okay.
have the rest of the time at the Lincoln. And part of the DARE program that was at the Lincoln, they want to breathe life into that DARE program and make it a 3-6 program, not just a 6th grade program.
Uh-huh.
So there is some concrete job duties.
Oh, yeah, that would be
assigned.
interesting. I would like to
Yeah,
see that.
yeah,
Just, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. I'll make sure that I get something to you that describes it step by step.
So is there any opportunity for safety grants or safety funding? So when the COVID funds are done, there's other funding mechanisms?
So that's something that both Greg from the city and I talked about, is that's the goal that we have, is to work on finding some additional resources here in the near future. And according to Mr. Estee, there just wasn't a lot out there at the time when we met. But now this was, right about the time of Uvalde, and I think at the federal level there's some school safety money that's going to be finding its way towards us here in the near future. And so I'm hopeful that we can see something. And at the state level, I've talked with all of our representatives how we need additional school safety money. And I want to say we get $22,000 a year, somewhere in there, that's dedicated school safety money, which is kind of how we've been paying for this SRO, most of the SRO for the last few years, but it doesn't come close. And then the other piece is the secured entry, looking at doing something different, especially in this building, and how we enter and how we keep staff and students safe. But it's expensive. That's expensive work, but it's something that I'm going to push our lobbyists for at the state level, and something that I've talked with at the federal level too, that we need those dollars. But I think it's coming at the federal. I don't know how it's going to trickle down to us and what it's going to look like, but we should see something.
How's it work since the office is moved downstairs?
Well, without kids or staff in the building, there's probably going to definitely be some growing pains with it. I mean, the reality is, if you know how Mrs. Sikora operates, she's not I sit in behind my desk in the office kind of person. So for her, it really doesn't matter where that desk is. I mean, she's sitting in the desk more in the evening, or maybe early in the morning, but she's always out and about in the building. And she's reached out to staff and said, if you have concerns, if you need me, call. I'll be there. It's what we had in the past with the community ed secretary and the athletic director secretary really being that point of contact. They didn't have that connection with the students and the parents the way a high school secretary would. So I'm hoping that it's going to be for the best. But it's not a perfect situation. I know that it's not perfect, but I'm hoping it'll be better than what we've had in recent years.
it's extremely strange.
Well, door number 12 as an entrance to this building is
It's
extremely strange. Yes.
And people are gonna, once they catch on to it, they're gonna go, why is your principal down in the AD's office?
Right.
I mean, that's the main personnel for this whole building.
Yep.
And from the beginning of time, the principal's been right in the middle,
Yep.
up here, by the main door.
Yep.
So, it's extremely strange. We really need to take care of it.
Called
But I totally
progress.
understand why it's happening right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
If
I get it.
if I had a time machine and I was involved with the Hibbing schools when the board or district looked at door number 12,
Yeah,
I would go back in time and say, can we look at another option? Why door 12? I don't know why.
That is the question, why door 12?
Right.
It was for parking.
well, it was for parking, it was because community ed, all the
Yes.
people from the
So many
community
people.
coming in down there.
True.
And handicapped accessibility.
And handicap accessible, there's a lot of reasons, but
Yeah.
it just is strange.
Yeah.
Well, I think the layout down there too is really,
It's so tight.
yeah, it's
Uh,
tight.
And
The
it's-
offices are huge,
Yeah,
but
it's good that Kurt's gonna be with community ed now, we'll be over at the early childhood, that'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be, people can go there, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Somehow we've gotta get our principal back up here.
Well, I'm sure I shared this with you, I mean, if the Historical Society would approve it, you know, it'd be awesome to do something with the front entrance. I don't think that'll ever happen. But I think at either the 7th Avenue or the 9th Avenue side, if that was carved out as a district office space, counselors, right, you enter, you can have meeting space there, you're not wandering all around the building to,
We
that
still
that
have
makes sense to
option.
me.
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
right, and we still have that option,
That's what
and
we're
that
looking
at least
right.
would be a little better.
Right.
But still, I mean, we've got these 3 gorgeous front doors. Are we giving up on them? That's it?
But-
They're just gonna stay locked every day for the rest of eternity? And no one will ever use them again?
It would just be, would the Historical Society sign off on some type of
Well,
remodel to
maybe
that
if we,
entrance?
maybe if we met with them.
Yeah, yeah,
Do they really want us to keep the doors locked and not have anyone using our beautiful entrance? I mean,
right.
so,
So the world changes it, so it's gonna be.
yeah.
1943 to now. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item C is a motion to approve the MOU between ISD number 701 and AEOA for the purpose of coordinating mutually beneficial activities of the parties involved to provide better services for children and families served. Service to be provided from 7/1/2022 to 6/30/2023.
so moved.
Support.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Martin. Any discussion?
I just have to say, this was so exciting to read through this memorandum. I mean, just the good things that will come for our youngest learners. It was just exciting.
And it's an interesting balance in how that's written between Head Start and ISD 701.
And they, I mean, I can't say enough good things about Skip and Head Start. I mean, they have really stepped up and contributed to that center, not only financially through playgrounds and but equipment and just staff and morale and just an atmosphere. And just a reminder to the board that next Tuesday at 3:30 is the open house down there, so I hope you can attend. And we're gonna, you'll be able to see, because I gave them the okay today, they were gonna shut down and not continue to work on the playground outside that commons area, those big windows. And I said, you go right ahead and work on that, because we want to get it done. We don't want another rain delay or something, so we might have construction work happening outside the window during our open house a little bit, but it needs to get done, so.
When's landscaping gonna be done?
I thought Tyler told me that they were supposed to be on site last week. So again, I don't know, it will be done before school begins there. We've got a little bit of reprieve because the early childhood classes actually start a week later than the regular elementary classes. I think they start on the September 15th or 13th somewhere. So we've got a little bit more time before the kids show up, but
Is there anything on the horizon for, I don't want to say landscaping necessarily, but that space between the transportation building and the Washington? I mean, it's there, right? It's ours. And I just feel like we could do more to make it look like we were connected.
right. One thing that we talked about now, I mean, when on paper, when you look at our plans and our drawings, it looks like that parking lot that we added is huge, right? It looks like a big space. But when you think about the number of staff that will be in that building, the parents coming and going, the drop off, the buses that'll be going through there, it's gonna be a full parking lot. So I talked with Tyler about, when you look out the bus garage looking west, I guess, facing west, there's an existing parking lot there, and then you have that low area and then where the Chavits are.
Yeah.
So we may need to create some type of walkway through that low area where those trees are and open up that parking to some staff parking. So I think that might kind of tie it in a little bit nicer, a
Yeah.
walkway, a sidewalk.
Some lights.
The only thing is, it's like a 15-foot drop. When it looks like it's just,
Really?
it is really a steep decline through there. So
I've been in that patch of this before, it's a hole.
Is it?
yes.
Can we fill it though?
Well, sure we can. Yeah,
Then
but
you're
I
going
mean,
up
it
to
costs-
high on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I agree. I mean, I look at that too, and it's just, it looks just kind of unfinished
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's just,
Put a tennis court in
Sliding door?
there. Okay, all in favor, say
I
aye.
like
Aye.
sliding.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item D is a motion to approve the Hibbing High School student handbook for the school year 2022-23.
Someone.
Moved by Director Nyberg, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
Yeah, it looks more readable than, I like the font and spacing.
it's,
You gotta make these things appealing for people to read stuff.
total reformat. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item E is a motion to approve the Lincoln Elementary student handbook for the school year 2022-23.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Martin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item F is a motion to approve the Greenhaven and Washington School student handbooks for the school year 2022-23.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Nyberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item G is a first reading of policy number 704, investments. Item H is a first reading of policy number 705, acceptance of gifts. Item I is a motion to approve policy number 208, adoption and implementation of policies.
So moved.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
Wait, where are we?
Item I.
You know, this is an interesting change. We don't have to do those 10 policies anymore but
Yes.
then- Huh?
Yes, isn't that interesting? The
Yeah,
annual?
where'd this come from? What's the thought, rationale behind it?
So literally, we had just worked on and approved the annual policies. And then I received information from MSBA that this should be a one-read approval of these two policies that are coming up. And it completely sets aside the annual notification that we just approved in the last meeting. So
So is this coming from the Department of Education?
it's coming from MSBA.
Okay, these I and J.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're the ones saying we have to read these so often.
Right.
But then that brings the question on 716, the public data request.
Right.
We haven't had that policy before.
Correct, and it's a required policy of school districts, and it's just recently been updated. And again, they recommend we approve it on a one read.
Even though it's not part of ours.
Right.
Correct.
We
So we
adopt.
should bring it back to look at it again.
We certainly can, yep.
You know, with the gifts, the one thought that came to mind when I read that one is where it says the policy is to accept gifts only in compliance with state law. And that is federal law, I think about Title IX, and when we get donations, even from our booster clubs or others, specifically for a girl's sport or a boy's sport or something. I mean, we need to be aware of that.
Right, we just approved that.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
She was going
So-
back to the 705 policy.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
we're on-
So, like,
Well, that's the first reading.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can alternate.
Yep,
those.
absolutely.
Well, and I'm I'm not suggesting we alter it, I just, we need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring up some, like, take a look at it in the second reading if you wanted something changed or whatever, you can do that.
So
Or
I-
added or whatever.
Alex, do you have any input in that? I know that, Alex worked on some of these financial ones and really kind of dug in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and like we talked about, we're gonna follow the state and federal rules regardless of, we're already doing that.
Right.
Policy.
Well, they trump out any, think of what you want to use that word. Okay, all
They
in
trump
favor?
out any MSBA, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. Item J.
Item J is a motion to approve the annual policy number 716, public data requests.
Almost.
Chair will support. Any discussion?
I guess I think that because it's a new policy and we're adopting it with one read, that we should bring it back sometime in the next year.
Sure.
And take it.
Yes, they can.
Absolutely.
Can I add one thing before we adjourn?
Sure.
I
Well,
forgot.
we're not done with this motion yet.
Sorry.
Excuse me.
Well, on the public data, we had some public data requests this past year, right? And we hadn't had any for years, I don't think.
No, not that
So
I-
it's a good thing that they took that up.
Yes, yeah, and
It's
we've,
been out there, we haven't had it, I
Oh,
think.
oh, okay. They've had it, but we haven't had it? Yeah, we should have it.
and we did follow the law when I worked with our attorney on those requests. I mean,
Yeah.
This just kind of formalizes
Puts it,
that
yeah.
process.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. Item 9, discussion item, Kim.
Yeah, I just wanted to give the board an update, so now I can, but the Boys and Girls Club hired a site director. So Kelly Rundell will start, she's relocating back to Hibbing.
Oh, that's Pat's wife, or a relative?
Rundell,
Oh, not Randall.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, Rundell, her
Different.
mother is Pam Rundell, who was a swimming teacher, was for years. She may not do it anymore, but, and also taught American Red Cross, CPR and all that.
And
And
I-
they're very active, like, community people.
And I don't know Kelly at all, but
I do.
her background is very much in developing youth programs like this, and I can't do justice, so I'm not gonna even try, but she's starting August 22nd,
Nice.
and will spend her first period of time in Duluth, and they've got positions posted for other positions, and the plan is, I think, to get it opened by, probably not gonna make September, but maybe like around October 1st, so I would envision that when people, when Kelly gets trained in a week or two, that I can imagine they're probably gonna start taking membership applications, so for families to kind of just know that.
That's
Factor
good,
in.
good progress.
And where will her office be?
Kelly's
Yeah.
will be in the Greenhaven.
In Greenhaven, which is where it is
Good news.
located. And you said October 1st
Well,
for that,
that's
your guess.
target, yeah, it's not gonna be September 1st, but we're hoping October 1st, but they do like a site safety inspection walkthrough to make sure that it's up to the safety standards and hiring people.
That's good news.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, Director Polter,
Motion to adjourn.
without objection, the meeting's adjourned at 4:35, and thank the audience. And thank the board.